So now this lab is completed. DevOps engineer Kubernetes engine skills. So two labs were there, which is completed. Now let's move on with the network engineer cache skills. Log into Cloud CDN. Click on Start Lab. So now the lab is started. Click on Open Google Console and copy your student username and just provide your okay. Copy the password. Give here. Next. Click on I understand. Yeah, agree to terms and conditions. Agree and continue. So we need to activate the Cloud Shell. As usual, just open the Activate Cloud Shell and let me maximize this screen. Click on Continue. Click on Got it. Now execute the qwiklabs hot list. Click on Authorize. It's complete. This qwiklabs config list project, it is optional. So let's perform task 1, create and populate a cloud storage bucket. In the cloud console, you have to navigate to cloud storage bucket, create bucket. So here the cloud storage, click on buckets, click on create. Okay. So enter a globally unique name. So here I have to specify my bucket 568. So this is a unique name. So click on continue. So region, you have to select the multi-regional. Okay, that's fine. Choose a location that is very far from you. Okay, that's fine. Continue. So in public access will be prevented. This dialog box you have to uncheck. So once, okay, leave all these defaults as is. Click on continue. So this one, enforce public access prevention on this bucket. So this you have to uncheck it. Click next. Leave this as is. Click on create and the bucket is created now. Okay. So let me refresh this. Okay, now the bucket is created. Next, need to copy an image into the bucket. So to do that, just copy this and remember my bucket name, mybug568. This is a bucket name. Okay, copy and paste here. Here you have to give your bucket name. So this is my bucket name. So copy is complete now. Okay, go inside the bucket. Just refresh this. Okay, so I have copied this image now. So that is also complete. Now we need to make the bucket public. So here to bucket under permissions, click on grant access. New principal, you need to select all users. Select a role, cloud storage object viewer. Cloud storage object viewer. Okay, once that is done, save. Click on hello public access. So that now the policy is updated. Okay, this is done. So once you have provided the public access, so here under public access, copy this URL and enter here. So now this image is publicly accessible via internet. since we have changed the permission. So now click on check my progress. This assessment is complete. Now let's create the HTTP load balancer with Cloud CDN. So to do that, just go back to the GCP console, click on load balancing, click your load balancing. Okay. Need to create a load balancer. Click on create load balancer. Select HTTP load balancing, start configuration. So internet facing or internal only, you have to select. So this is the default. You leave it as is. Next, continue. And you have to set the name as CDN-LB. So this is what you have to choose. Choose from internet to VMs or serverless service and click continue. This is HTTP load balancer. By default, that option will be selected. So you don't have to worry about it. Just copy the name and enter. Then next, go to the backend configuration. You click on this. Click on create a backend bucket. Okay. So set the name as CDN-bucket. Give the name here and browse your bucket. Select your bucket. Enable Cloud CDN, that you have to check it, and you need to set all this to 1 minute. So this is enabled. Next, this is now 1 hour, right? You have to set it to 1 minute. So all this you need to set it to 1 minute. So that's it. Okay, so that's it. You need to click on create. Okay. And the configure front-end configuration, just go to front-end configuration, and you're not giving any name here. Protocol HTTP IPv4 ephemeral 80. HTTP IPv4 IP address is ephemeral and port is 80. So this is correct. Okay, review and finalize and click on create. So now the load balancer gets created. Okay, so now the load balancer is created. The status shows green. Okay. So the assessment is complete. Let's move on to the next task, which is task 3, verify the caching of your bucket's content. So in Cloud Shell, you have to execute this. Export LB IP address. So let me copy the IP address of the load balancer. This is a load balancer IP address. Copy it, activate your Cloud Shell. Just copying that load balancer IP address here. Just type it here. This is done. So you have to run the following command 3 times. So 3 times you have to execute this so that the logs get generated. So now 3 times I have executed this. Now next copy, repeat the command a few times to provide logs. So again execute this. Execute it 3 times. So now that is complete. Explore the cloud CDN logs. Go to logging. Under logs explorer, you need to select HTTP load balancer. So you have to select this rule, then click on apply. So here under resource type, select cloud HTTP load balancer. Under forwarding rule name, select CDN-LB forwarding rule. Next under URL map name, select CDN-LB. Click on run query. So now you can see the query results and the logs are generated over there. So let's expand this first log, the query result. Click on this first log, expand this HTTP request. So here you can see cache lookup is set to true. When we go back, so here it says the cache lookup is true, but there was no cache hit field. So this illustrates that the cache did not contain the image on this first request. So which is true. Now we need to expand the JSON payload and check the status details field that should contain the response sent by backend. So let's expand this JSON payload and let's check the status details. Yeah, it is set to response sent by backend, which means the response was sent by the backend bucket. So let's close that one and scroll down towards the bottom and let's check the last entry. So let's expand this last log. Here under HTTP request, the cache hit is also present, which is set to true, and cache lookup is also set to true. Let's expand the JSON payload and the status details. It shows the response from cache. So the cache provided the image on this request instead of the backend. So that's it. We can end this lab. We have completed all the tasks in this lab. Now let's start with the lab network TIs. So this is for 30 minutes. Click on Start Lab. So once the lab is started, so copy your username, give your username and copy the password. Ensure you log in with your student ID and password because this lab will be charged if you log in with your Gmail ID. Okay, so now the Google Cloud console is active. So agree to the terms of service, agree and continue. Okay, the first task is to create a VM instance. So in the console, I get to the compute engine, VM instance. Click on create instance and here you will give the name. So name they have mentioned VM-premium. So I will also use the same VM-premium. Region US Central 1. So it is by default it has taken that. Region and zone it has taken. So series you need to select N1 series. And the machine type will be 1 vCPU N1 standard 1. So N1 standard 1. So this is a one with which comes with the N1 series. Okay, once that is done, click networking disk. Now scroll down to the advanced options, click here and under networking you need to verify few things here. So verify that network service tier is set to premium. See, network service tier it is set to premium. So that is correct. Okay, so that's it. I just click on create button. This will create a VM instance for you. So this will take some time. Let us create another VM. So again you need to click on create instance. Here let us create a standard VM. So the name is VM-standard. Ensure you don't have any space here. And region and zone is US Central. So by default it is US Central. Series is N1. So here come in series, select N1, machine type N1 standard. By default it will take it. Okay, now again in the under network service tier it has to be standard. Okay, scroll down under advanced option, click on networking, scroll down, click on network interface, the drop down. If you click on that it will list. So here network service tier need to select standard. Click on create. So this is another VM with a standard network interface. So the first VM is created. It's a VM premium which we had created earlier, and VM standard it is getting created now. So once both the VMs are created, this will be like marked as green. So now both the VMs have been created. Click on check my progress. The assessment is completed now. Explore the latency and network paths. Which network service tier should provide lower latency? So usually lower latency will improve the user experience. For this, it will be a premium tier. This lab used ping to demonstrate the latency user in Europe might experience when accessing your server in US Central. Open a new tab and go to ping. Okay. Enter the premium IP in the IP address or host name. Okay, premium IP. You need to copy the external IP. Enter. Here, enter the security code. This is KXX. Click on go. So max and min time is 114 milliseconds. Okay. So now let's copy the external IP address of the standard. So let's just note down this 114 ms. Now we are copying the standard external IP. So the time for this is more, 125 milliseconds. The ping time is more for this standard VM. Okay. So obviously the premium tier got lower latency. So explore the network path for both VM instance. Explore network path between third-party service in Europe and your VM instance in US Central using traceroute. Traceroute shows all layer 3 routing layer. So now open this in a new tab. Ping, you can just close it. Copy the IP address of a premium VM and paste it here. Okay. YB. Okay. Click on enter traceroute. So using traceroute, you can visualize which network path the traffic from user in Europe might take when accessing a server in US Central. So you just open the traceroute and you give the premium IP address. So here you can find the hop address, like which path it has taken. And copy the standard IP. Again, you do the traceroute to trace which network route it is taking. Okay. So we're done with this lab.